So first, I want to say that since I didn't get to introduce Jose, I wanted to congratulate you, Jose, for doing an excellent job on your campaign. It's been a weird one. We're here. And the reason that's significant is because we are not in jail, although one person in the chorus is headed off there on Tuesday. And although our nation has been going fascist really since the death of FDR, after the Kennedy assassination, the jailing of Lyndon LaRouche, and the aftermath of 9/11 and probably the pre-math into 9/11, with an accelerating escalation of censorship under the Biden-Harris war administration, we still have enough freedom to change the direction of our nation if we use it. That's why we organized this event. A few years ago, I was telling Jose that my dream was that in the city of New York, no one should be able to come here and tell lies in public. That's happened to some people, but we need more people. This should be a city where people know that when they come, they're not going to be able to lie to the population because someone is going to get up and pull a Jose Vega. So it's not enough, because our government at this moment, and I know many people share my frustration, we know we're out there organizing. The majority of the American people do not support war. The majority of the American people do not support genocide. So why is this happening? It's happening because we haven't stopped our government from doing it. According to our Declaration of Independence, we're obligated to stop the government. It says right in there that if the government has become abusive of these ends, that is, that every human being is created equal and endowed with inalienable rights, life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. If our government becomes abusive of these ends, it is our right and our duty to alter or abolish it. That's what we're supposed to do as American citizens. How do we do that? Not through violence. That won't work, because in the United States, the culture is important. You could overthrow a government in violence. You could vote them out. We could vote out the Harris-Biden administration. But what guarantees that what comes next will be any better unless the population itself changes? That is, we have to be enlightened enough and good enough and love mankind enough to have the wisdom not only to choose good leaders, but to be good leaders. That's why we're here. And that's why the music is such a big part of this program. It is not going to help us to dump Dick Cheney if we are not good enough to make our government uphold the principles of justice and human dignity. Now, as Helga mentioned earlier, 4 days ago, 57% of the world's population was meeting in Kazan. Isn't that something? It's not on the front page of the New York Times. It's not in the news. But who are we? We're 4% of the world's population. And the nations that have now joined, I'm going to read off so you can consider what this means as partners of the BRICS. Brazil, we have those are the 5. The new partners, Indonesia, Nigeria, Vietnam, Turkey, Thailand, Uganda, Algeria, Uzbekistan, Malaysia, Kazakhstan, Bolivia, Cuba, Belarus. That's more than 1 billion people who have just become associated with the BRICS. Someone said that the leader of Turkey, Erdogan, is probably the only person in the world who could figure out how to be in BRICS and NATO at the same time. So the musical selections that are going to come up now, we're going to have a tour of the world, and it's designed really to reflect the choral principle, where the chorus, and they will tell you, and when we were in COVID and we had to listen to everyone singing individually, I will tell you, everyone is very individual. And I will tell you that, no offense to the chorus or myself, I'm there with you, every voice in our non-audition amateur chorus is not an operatic superstar. But somehow, when we bring this chorus together, and each of them contributes their own unique talent on their own separate part, you produce something which is greater than the parts. The whole is greater than the parts. And what we're going to hear in the upcoming musical selections is some music from all over the world, and you can reflect on how much we have to gain and to benefit from collaborating with each other, and why the world should be much more like a chorus and not a cacophony and not a nuclear war. We're going to hear some compositions by Dvorak, who came here to the United States on the mission to create a great and noble school of classical music. And he said that the music of the Native American population and the African American population was the seed crystal for everything that we needed to have our own classical culture in the United States. And that began, and it took root, but we had a very ugly shift with Jim Crow. He left, and we didn't get to complete the development of the American conservatory and tradition of classical music, but you will find relics of it. So we're now approaching the 250th anniversary of the founding of our republic. And I think it's a question whether we are going to continue as a republic, and that's up to us. And I wanted to share with you some words from our first president, George Washington, in his farewell address, and you might consider their relevance in the situation we face today. He said, "The nation which indulges toward another an habitual hatred or an habitual fondness is in some degree a slave. It is a slave to its animosity or to its affection, either of which is sufficient to lead it astray from its duty and its interest. So let us stop being slaves."